Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, August 30th, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, or my season pass in college football or the NFL, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Friday, Major League Baseball. First up, the Atlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies. Reynaldo Lopez and Ranger Suarez are your starters. The Suarez returned to the mound after about a month off with an injury, and he pitched well in that first game back against Kansas City. That's not an easy matchup at Kauffman Stadium against the Royals, but Suarez went 5 innings of one-run ball, had 6 strikeouts, no home runs, and just 1 walk given up. So exactly what you're looking to see, and exactly what we saw from Suarez at the beginning of the season when he was, arguably the top pitcher in baseball. And I think he pitches well in this game, but I also think he's going to get some run support. Lopez was fine in that last game against the Nationals, but it wasn't good enough for the Braves to win that game. And he's pitched well against Philadelphia this year, but he also faced them very recently on August 20th. I think the second time now facing them in just a matter of about 10 days. It's going to be really tough for him. I think the Phillies are improving offensively. I like their matchup here against Lopez, who still has some regression concerns when you look at those expected numbers. Give me the Phillies in this game on the money line. Next up, we'll go to Yankee Stadium as the Cardinals take on the Yanks. We got Eric Fedde and Marcus Stroman as the projected starters. Now, Eric Fedde pitched well on the road in that last game against Minnesota, went 6 innings of one-run ball with 7 strikeouts, but overall this season, he's been a lot better at home, whether that's at Busch Stadium or Guaranteed Rate Field when he was a member of the White Sox. And it's at Yankee Stadium here. I think the Yanks get to him. I mean, they've been very strong against right-handed pitching basically all season in the month of August. Number 3 in team OPS, right up there in isolated power. Pretty low strikeout rate and high walk rate to go with it. Marcus Stroman, we know, has not been the best as of late. We saw, now his ERA is sub 4 again, but in his last game against the Rockies, it was 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 5 innings of work. I still think he'll be the better option by the end of this game, and I think the Yankees bats are just going to be able to back him up. So when you look at St. Louis in the month of August offensively against righties, they're 23rd in team OPS. They're even worse in isolated power. I'm going to give the advantage to the Yanks in this one on the money line and the run line. Next up, we'll go to Detroit as the Red Sox take on the Tigers. We got Tanner Houck for Boston, but no official starter for the Tigers. And Tanner Houck, while he's still got great numbers overall this season, recently a little shaky. I mean, he's given up 6+ runs in 2 of his last 5, including that last game against the Diamondbacks where it was 6 innings, 7 base hits, 6 earned runs, a homer, and 4 walks. And, when you look at the Red Sox in his last 5 games, they've lost all 5 of those against some tough teams, the Astros twice, the Diamondbacks, but the Tigers are playing pretty good baseball recently. I know they played a pretty weak schedule, but here they are above 500 going into this series. And, they have a small chance at making a run here in the AL wild card or even central race. It's still, a long shot, but we've seen crazier things happen in September. And with the way Detroit's playing, I'm going to take a shot here with the Tigers on the money line at Comerica. Next up, the Chicago Cubs taking on the Washington Nationals. Shota Imanaga and Jake Irvin are your starters. Now, this would be a game I'd normally be tempted to take in the plus money here with the Nationals, but Jake Irvin's not been great at home this season. He's also given up a lot of sharp contact in recent games, 8 home runs his last 4 starts combined. The Cubs have really improved against righties in the month of August. They're top 5 in team OPS. They have pretty good power numbers, a low strikeout rate, and a 10% walk rate. So, really solid numbers for Chicago there. And, Imanaga, while his last game giving up 2 home runs, he's also given up a lot of sharp contact recently. I still think he'll be the better option by the end of this game. So I'm going to roll with the Cubs in this one on the money line and run line on the road. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. We're going to see Martin Perez and Taj Bradley on the mound. Now, since joining the Padres at the trade deadline, Martin Perez has been a winning machine for San Diego. They've won all 5 of his first 5 starts, and while he wasn't his best in that last game, it's still tough to go against him in this one with how, Taj Bradley on the other side struggling. I mean, he's had only 1 quality start in his last 5 games. The Rays are 1-4 in those 5 games, and he's given up a lot of sharp contact and a lot of base hits. San Diego has a strong lineup against right-handed pitching. They have a great bullpen. The Rays have a solid bullpen, but the Padres in the month of August, the number 1 bullpen xFIP in the league, and it's not even really close. Great ERA to go with it. I'm going to roll with the San Diego Padres in this game on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Bailey Falter and Ben Lively are your starters. neither starting pitcher really my favorite to back, but I will say the Guardians' offense has been very inconsistent recently. We saw them have that rough series against the Royals where they were really, fortunate to win that final game, salvage that final game in that 4-game series. I know the Pirates had the complete collapse the other day against the Cubs, but their offense has still shown up, and I think if Bailey Falter can go 4 or 5 decent innings, the Pirates are going to be able to back him up. I mean, even though he's not my favorite option to back, the Pirates are still 3-2 in his last 5 games, which includes wins over the Astros and the Mariners. And, Ben Lively, he's been better recently, but he still gives up a lot of sharp contact, a lot of home runs, and I think that the Pirates can get to him for a couple of home runs early in this game. I'm going to roll with the Pittsburgh Pirates here, take a shot with the Buccos on the money line. Next up, the Oakland Athletics taking on the Texas Rangers. J.P. Sears and John Gray are your starters. This is a game where I know J.P. Sears struggled mightily in that last game against Milwaukee, but he was pitching really well before that. The four previous starts going 7+ innings, all quality starts, and the A's were 3-1 in those games. I think Sears has a much better chance of bouncing back than John Gray does, who for me just hasn't looked 100% very often this season. He's had well under a strikeout per inning, and that whip is now at 1.3, the ERA above 4. And he gave up 7 earned runs in that last game against the Guardians. I think that the A's can get to him, and I think that the A's bullpen is far superior in this matchup, in this series. I'm going to roll with the Athletics on the money line on the road. Next up, the Kansas City Royals taking on the Houston Astros. We got Seth Lugo and Framber Valdez as the projected starters. Seth Lugo had a nice bounce-back start against the Angels on August 19th, but then struggled again in his previous outing against the Phillies. 5 1/3, 11 base hits, and 5 earned runs. He's given up 4+ runs in 3 of his last 4. I can't back the Royals in this game. As much as they played really well offensively in the last couple of weeks and are now right in the mix in the AL Central, I mean, Framber Valdez has been so strong on the other side. He's had a quality start almost every outing. He was 1 out shy of another quality start last time against the Orioles, but still put together 8 strikeouts and 5 2/3. I got to go with the Astros in this game on the money line. Next up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Chicago White Sox. Tyler McGill and Jonathan Cannon are your starters. This is a game where if Jonathan Cannon were in better form, I'd be willing to take a shot here with Chicago because McGill just hasn't been able to pitch too well at the major league level this season. And even in his last few starts at the minor league level in AAA, he wasn't the best. I mean, he had some great strikeout performances, but giving up a good amount of base runners and earned runs and an ERA above 4 in the last 3 starts. I think the White Sox are still going to be able to get to him for a couple of runs, but Cannon's given up 10 earned runs his last 2 starts against the Tigers and Giants, not necessarily great lineups. It's a much tougher matchup here against New York, and I think they're going to be able to back up McGill offensively. I think the Mets just score too much here for the White Sox to keep up, so I'm going to go with the Mets here on the run line, but not my favorite game on the board. Next up, the Minnesota Twins hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman and Pablo Lopez are your starters. We've got 2 ace-level starting pitchers that had rough starts to the season, and it's why their ERAs are still above 4 on the year, but they've been in much better form recently. I mean, Kevin Gausman, very profitable option for Toronto in his last few games. Another great outing for him. Last time, 7 innings of 1-run ball with 10 strikeouts against the Angels, and the Blue Jays have won 4 of his last 5. Pablo Lopez had a really rough start to the year, but you look at his last couple of starts, I mean, back-to-back shutouts against the Cardinals and the Rangers. Great strikeout numbers. He's given up 2 earned runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5. For me, I got to go with the under in this game. I don't necessarily trust either of these offenses right now, especially the Twins. They have not been the best in terms of getting runners in scoring position in the last couple of games. We know they're still battling those injuries in the lineup with guys like Correa, Byron Buxton, and Royce Lewis is going through a slump right now. So give me the under in Twins Blue Jays. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Colorado Rockies. We got Austin Gomber and Albert Suarez as your starters. Now, Suarez, even though he's an Oriole in the AL, he's actually had some Coors Field experience back when he was a member of the San Francisco Giants in 2016 and 17. Had a couple of starts there in 16 when it combined 10 innings of 6-run ball. Not amazing, but then he had 2 innings of shutout ball in 2017. I think he'll be okay. I think, it's not the best matchup for him, but I think the Orioles are going to be able to back him up. Gomber's been better at Coors Field, but the Orioles have hit lefties very well in the last month. So I'm still going to roll with the Orioles here on the run line, but not my favorite game on the board. I don't really love fading the Rockies when they're playing at Coors because we know they play their best ball there, but I'll lean towards Baltimore. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Los Angeles Angels. George Kirby and Carson Fulmer are your starters. This is a game where the Angels have not been great offensively in the last month, and they haven't been playing great baseball in general, but I mean, the Mariners' offense has been so inconsistent this season. George Kirby's been very inconsistent on the road and just in general recently. You saw him give up 9 base hits and 3 earned runs in that last game against the Giants. The Mariners are just 1-4 in his last 5 starts, and those were a couple of losses to the teams like the Detroit Tigers and the Giants. I think that Fulmer, look at his last 5 games. He's been decent. 2 earned runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5. The Angels haven't always backed him up, but this is a game where I would just want to take the plus money or take the 1.5 runs with the home team in a game that I think could go either way. Next up, the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We see Clayton Kershaw and Zach Gallen as your starters. This is obviously a huge series for the implications in the NL West. I mean, back at the All-Star break, we didn't think the Diamondbacks had a chance at the NL West division. Even a playoff, spot in the wild card was going to be tough for Arizona. They've been one of the best teams in the second half of the year, and they get to host the Dodgers in this one. I mean, Zach Gallen, he had some little shaky outings here and there in the last couple of starts, but he had a nice strong bounce back start against the Red Sox at Fenway. That last game, 6 innings, a shutout ball, and 9 strikeouts in a 4-1 Diamondbacks win. And while he's not been the best in the last 5, the Diamondbacks are still 4-1 in those 5 because their offense has been so strong. They faced Kershaw here. He was pitching well up until that last game, gave up 5 earned runs, 9 base hits against the Tampa Bay Rays of all teams. I'm a little bit worried about that going into Chase Field. The Diamondbacks, very strong lineup against lefties and righties. I'm going to go with the Arizona Diamondbacks in this game on the money line. And the final game we're to talk about for the Friday card in Major League Baseball, the Miami Marlins and the San Francisco Giants. Adam Oller and Blake Snell are your projected starters. And I know Snell had control issues in that last game against Seattle, had 6 walks given up in 3 innings, but I still think this is a great bounce-back spot for him back at Oracle Park, facing a Marlins team that had to play in Coors Field on Thursday. No days off in between that series and this one. I think the Marlins bats really struggle in this game, and while Adam Oller was better in that last start against the Cubs, 5 2/3 a 1-run ball, I still don't necessarily trust him or this Marlins bullpen right now. The Marlins bullpen was a lot better at one point, especially in July, but now in the month of August, a 5.49 ERA. The xFIP is ranked 17th in baseball. I think if the Giants score 3-4 runs, it could be enough for a run line cover. So I lean towards the under and the Giants on the run line at home. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comment section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.